So hello everybody and welcome to Hang with Willie episode number 4. So I'm still working on all of the audio stuff. Hopefully the audio issues have been cleared up. But after this hangout, I'm going to be digging back into the studio and going to be looking more into how I can route all of this audio. There's a lot of stuff going on. And by the way, I will be doing a tour of the studio very, very soon. I'm still waiting until everything is like all, put where it should be before I show you guys the studio. Okay, so in today's hangout, what we're going to be focusing on is arpeggios, 2-5-1s, and tritones. So let me get right into it. Actually, before I do, let me tell you, Carrie is not on the call today. She is vacationing this week, so have a great vacation, Carrie. So she will not be available for the chat. So while I'm recording live, I'm not going to be able to chat with all of you. So I will stay on for a little bit after the hangout is over and see if anybody has any questions. Okay, so moving on. The very first thing that we want to do is we want to get together a jazz 2-5-1 progression. Let me just get this arrow here so that I have this available to me. Okay, so jazz 2-5-1 progression. Now, I read the survey responses that you guys put in. So I know that some of you want some beginner stuff as well. So I will be doing some beginner stuff. In fact, I'm thinking about actually even starting up another hangout that's devoted just to homeschool piano stuff. And that's all of the beginner lessons. So check your email for that stuff. Today, we're going to be focusing on 2-5-1s and a jazz 2-5-1. And now the 2-5-1 progression, I'm just going to breeze through this quickly because we have 4 pages of music to get through today. So just a basic C minor 7 to F dominant 7th to B flat major 7. That is my 2-5-1 progression. I could do it with an inversion there on the F. Okay, so that's a 2-chord, 5-chord, 1-chord. If you need help with that, take a look at any of my lessons on diatonic. Do a search for diatonic, and that will explain all of that to you, the 2-5-1 progression. So now all I'm doing is I'm going up to the 3rd of the C minor chord. Notice I build a major 7th chord on that 3rd, right? And I just go down a half step, right? Go down a half step down to that F, right? For the F7 chord. So just moving down a half step and moving right on down. Let me just fix this real quick. Moving down a half step and going to the 3rd of that chord. Let's see if that does it. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so on the C minor, move that 7th down a half step to the 3rd, and then move on down to the B flat major 7. Again, go to the 3rd, and this time I'm building a minor 7 chord. All right, so this is your basic 2-5-1 progression. All right, so now let's move on. What we want to do is we want to start to build these arpeggios and sounds like this. Right? And we can use this for endings. We can use it for fills. We can use these arpeggios all different places. You get a real nice sound real quickly without a lot of heavy theory lifting. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. All right. So what I'm doing is I'm first of all starting with arpeggiating the chord. So you'll notice what I'm doing here is I start in the left hand. I do the octave and I go up to the 7th. All right. So I do the root and I go up to the 7th. Okay? And then I'm playing the rest of the chord. So take a listen to that. So I'm ending on that 9th. I'm just hanging out there. And I do the same thing for the F. So all I'm doing is, just in case you didn't see it, I'm taking these same, let's do this. I'm taking these same voicings here, okay? And now I'm just arpeggiating those voicings. Okay, so, and then to the B flat major. All right, now a couple of things I have to cover. First of all, what does it mean to arpeggiate? What is an arpeggio? All an arpeggio is instead of playing the notes of the chord all together like that, like a harmonic rendition of the chord, we do instead a melodic. Okay, so this is harmonic, this is melodic. All right, so harmonic is when we play everything together, and then melodic is when we're breaking it up and it sounds like a melody, right? And we are arpeggiating the notes of that chord. Now, that's the first thing. Second, fingering. So what fingering do I use? I use exactly the same fingering that I play for the chords. So here I'm playing 1, 2, 3, and 5. And then when I move to the next octave, guess what? I just lift my hand up and I play the same fingering. So 1, 2, 3, 5, lift, 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5. Now, one thing you could practice is moving from the 5 to the 1. Just try practicing that, 5 to 1. Now, when I say 5, I mean the 5th finger. Obviously, this is the 9th of the C minor chord. So I'm moving from the pinky to the thumb. Ah. All right, start slow. You can do that as well. Just moving right on up to that 3rd. Okay? So practice practice that, all right? So practice just moving from that pinky up to the thumb. Now when I move to the F7, it's the same notes that I just played before, right, for that F7 chord, and then the B flat major. I can play it down here, I can play it up here, I wrote it up here. So the first thing you want to do is, after you get the basic fingering of the chords down and you can play those chords, then work on the arpeggio and do it slowly. Don't worry about trying to do it in time. That's fine. Okay. All right, so now that's your basic 2-5-1 progression. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift the beat around. Let's grab this arrow here. Let me paste it in there. Yes, it will. Okay, so now you notice what I'm going to do is I'm going to now, instead of playing this left hand, playing the root 7, and then starting the E flat, right, the 3rd of the C minor, on the end of 1, instead now I'm going to start right on the beat. So basically what I'm doing is 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4, right? So now it gets me the sound of the chord right on the beat. So then what do I do in my left hand? Well, on the left hand, I'm just playing those 10s. Now I can play them all together if you can reach that, but I know a lot of students can't reach that, and that's no problem. If you can't reach that 10th, don't worry, a lot of pianists can't. So instead, I just arpeggiate that as well, and I do that in quarter notes and on a half note. And when I move to the F7 chord, and into the B flat. Nice and smooth, nice and beautiful, right? Real nice chords, and the arpeggios just really make that chord that is, relatively simple. I mean, it's not real heavy lifting here for that 2-5-1, but when you do that arpeggio, sounds real beautiful, especially when we start getting into the tritones, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. All right, so now, is there anything else I wanted to say about that? Not really. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Let's get on to some bigger and better things here. Let's do the replacing the 5-7 chord with its tritone. All right, so, actually, there is one other thing I want to say, and that is relaxing when you play those arpeggios. A lot of students want to learn, how do I play arpeggios fast, 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 fast? Well, obviously, anybody tells you there's some secret, like, oh, you do this method, and you're going to be able to play super fast arpeggios in an hour. No, it doesn't work like that. All right. Remember, playing the piano is a physical activity. If you thought, hey, I've never worked out a day in my life, or I've never ran a day in my life, yeah, I think I'm going to run a marathon next week. All right? Of course not. It's just, it makes absolutely no sense. And it could actually take you a year, maybe even 2 or 3 years before you built up enough stamina to actually be able to run that marathon or lift the weights or do whatever that physical activity is, all right? I mean, as many of you know, I'm in karate. I've been doing this for over 2 years now, and there's still stuff that obviously I cannot do. It just takes a while. So be patient with yourself. I know I say that a lot, but it's really important to keep hearing that. So when you play your arpeggios, first of all, you want to make sure you have good posture. If you're doing like this kind of stuff, all right, then you're not getting enough oxygen into the body, and your body isn't going to be 100%, all right? You have to think of yourself as an athlete when you play the piano. That might seem a little contrary, because you might think, oh, I'm not working out. You actually are. You get a lot of blood flowing into your arms and into your body when you're playing the instrument. It's very physical, right? And when you really play, I just did a recording session the other day. I'm like sweating by the end of the night, okay? So I know that I'm really working out here. When you're doing that, you have to make sure you breathe and relax. Those two things are so important because when you don't breathe, a lot of lactic acid and whatnot gets built up into your arms, and it slows you down. So make sure you're sitting properly, right? This is going to help to open up your chest, going to help to open up your body so you can get that oxygen in. Right? And then when you play, let me actually do the example. I'm playing very relaxed. Right? And when I play that arpeggio, I'm not thinking every note. I'm not thinking. I'm not like trying to play every note. Instead, I allow my hand to rock. And it's that rocking motion. I mean, see how your hand can do this? Right? Does this, does this. Okay? These are the two motions. This is not, like this thing is not going to be good if you're doing this on every note, right? Instead, you want to just rock that hand, and then what you're doing is you're grabbing with those fingers. So you're doing this motion, right? So try doing that. Just try that wrist motion, and then grabbing it. You can kind of grab in like with your, like you're making a fist there as well. All right. So then, same thing I'm doing there. Now you see that I'm actually bringing my hand. I just stopped it. I'm showing you exactly what it is that I'm doing here. So that's where my hand ends, just like that. So my fingers are in. Why are they in? Because when you play an arpeggio like this, your hand is spread out. Anytime your fingers are spread out like that, I should say fingers are spread out. Anytime your fingers are spread out like that, you are creating tension in your hand. Don't believe me? Just do this and keep your hand like that for about an hour, okay? Right now, I can already feel the tension. You can see the tension in my arm, okay? So then you relax. So anytime you have your fingers open like that, even though I have these massive fingers here in the hand, like this reach, okay, I still want to close my hand up. So I just practice moving I just practice that rocking motion. And my target is that D. See how I'm just like hanging on that D? I just move my hand, nice and relaxed. Make sure your shoulders on up, okay? Nice and relaxed. You see that I'm using the pedal there? See the pedal thing going on there? Okay, so I'm holding down the pedal. That helps to bring all the notes together. If I don't, then I get that. Which that has its place as well, but when I'm so there you go. All right, so that's the technique of playing the arpeggio. Now what I'm going to do is, instead of playing that F7 chord, okay, I'm going to change that chord drastically. Check out what I'm going to do here. I changed it to a B7 flat 13 sharp 9 chord. A lot of times I just write that as B7 altered. Like, whoa, how did I change that chord? You want to know how I changed it? I just changed the root. So rather than playing an F down here, I play a B instead, which, don't forget, B is the tritone of F. It's a tritone away. And notice what I get when I do that. Now this becomes the third, this becomes the flat 13, the flat 7, the sharp 9 of my B7 chord. So when I play F7, this is 7, 9, 3, 13. Put B underneath it, and now the chord changes dramatically. So right hand, exactly the same notes. Left hand, just a different root motion. And then, just like I was doing before on the C and the B flat, then I play root 5, 10th for the B. Okay? And of course, I'm arpeggiating that. So again, so I'm able to get a completely different sound just by changing the root motion. Bass players do this all of the time. When they have a 2-5-1 progression, rather than playing the C to the F to the B flat, they might play F. They might hang on the 5 chord. They might do that tritone. Okay, they have a lot of power in the motion of the chords. All right, now let's talk about some tensions. So now what I'm doing in here, actually what I want you to focus on is just focus on the right hand notes right in here, okay? So when I come down here, take a look at these right hand notes, okay? All right, so typically I was playing this, okay? So I was playing the E flat, the G, the A, and the D, okay? But now I'm playing E flat, G flat, A, and D. So how does that change that F7 chord? Well, it changes it into a flat 9 chord, to F7 flat 9 chord. So notice, again, not a lot of heavy lifting. All I'm doing is changing one note, one single note. Listen to the change. Right? Now this is real stuff. I mean, like I'll play this kind of stuff on gigs. You know, you come down to, you know, Castle Hill or wherever I'm playing in Rhode Island or wherever, and this is the kind of stuff you'll hear me do. So this isn't like just some exercise. Of course, we could play it as an exercise, but we have the added benefit of now also being able to use it, right, in real life. So just changing that A to, I'm sorry, changing the G to a G flat. Okay, so now, you might wonder, okay, so now if I do that, now what happens if I change this F again to a B down here with the same right hand? So again, I'm going to keep the same right hand notes, but I'm going to put a B underneath. Well, now what do I have? 3, 5, 7, sharp 9. Okay, so that's fine, nothing wrong with that. Right? Very, very nice sound. So again, I can just mess around. I can, you know, if I want to go through, let me play through it 2 times here. So I'll go C, F, B flat, and then I'll go C, B, B flat. Okay. All right. So now this is where it really gets cool. Okay, so all of this stuff, and by the way, I can't switch to the other shot, which, you know, next week, hopefully I'll have all this together, all the fancy switching. But you can grab all of this sheet music. If you're a member of the site, just go to where it says courses, and you see the Hang with Willie courses. If you're not a member of the site, you can purchase these Hang with Willie sessions. Actually, we're running a special right now. They're only $7. You could buy the hang, you get the music, you get the download, all of that stuff. Okay. All right. So so now this measure, the same. Okay. The B flat, the same as well. Now we're going to a 5/7 of, well, first of all, what is this? This is 2. This is 5. This is 1. Right. 2, 5, 1. G7 is 5/7 of. Now, how do I know it's 5/7 of? Because it's a G7 chord. Anytime I see dominant 7, I know it's a 5/7 of something. So it's a 5/7 of what? Well, G would resolve where? Go up a 4th or down a 5th, right? Go backwards in my circle of 5ths, all right? So G goes to where? To C. Well, C is what again? It's the 2 chord. So we call this 5/7 of 2. And we would write that like this, 5/7 of 2. Whoops, not 3, 2. Okay. Just like that. And typically we would put an arrow as well, going back to the C, okay, showing the dominant motion. If it wasn't going to the 2 chord, a little analysis tip for you, then we would put parentheses around, if it wasn't going back to the 2 chord, we would put parentheses around this, and that means it's a deceptive resolution. Okay, so anyway, 5/7 of 2 chord. So now let's take a look at the notes. Okay, now this is real simple on the G7 chord. This is my G major triad, okay, just doubling the octave, and I'm just putting in the flat 9. So there's the flat 9, the 3rd, the 5th, and then the root. And then I just play the 7th in the left hand there. So notice I'm not going root 5/10 there. So now all out, let me try and get this so you can kind of see. All right. All out, I get this. Oh, sorry, I was doing the flat 9 and the F. So let me put it in the flat 9. All right, very, very beautiful sound. Very nice sound indeed. All right, so now this is where the rubber meets the road. All right, so those arpeggios are great. You can practice them, and what I suggest that you do is I suggest that you practice them, going through your 2-5-1 progression. So pick whatever key. Let's take the key of F. All right, so 2-5-1 would be G minor 7, C7, F major 7. Now you might wonder, do I have to do those jazz voicings? No, you could do just. Right? Those will be fine as well. Now, do I have to do 4 notes and do them as 16th notes? No, I can do 3 notes. Check out what happens when I just do triads. Or end on that F if I want to. Okay? So that would be fine as well. I can also, rather than going up an octave, I could go. I mean, really, sky is the limit in terms of what you can do with this. It's really just limited to your own creativity. So ask a question, hey, can I do this? And then see if you can do it. So, hey, can I go down? Well, let me try that. Obviously, it's something I would have to practice here. You could do the major or you could do the octave, whichever, okay? So use your creativity. What I suggest that you do, though, is whatever you try doing, see if you could do it in all 12 keys. So you're going to go to the key of G flat. There's your A flat minor, D flat 7, G flat major 7. So then try. Sorry, do the 9. Going to E, F sharp minor, B7, E. Going to D. Let me just do those 3 chords quick. A flat minor, the D flat 7, the G flat major. Okay? Then F sharp minor, the B7, to E major, then E minor 7 to A7 to D major. Okay? All right. So now we want to apply these concepts to a song, right? Because an exercise is great, but we really want to be able to take what we learn and apply it to real life settings. So I have a lesson called Step-by-Step Standards. Okay, and in that lesson is My Romance. All right, and we go through step by step exactly how to build out an arrangement. Right, so just starting with basic roots to shells, to filling in the shells, to doing tensions, substitutions, all of that stuff. Okay, so at the very end of the song we have this. Right, so it's just the end of the song, My Romance, and then it's filled in, okay? So I fill it out like this. Okay, so we finally get to an arrangement like this. What do I got here? And then we would end on like a B flat or something, all right? So, but now what I'm doing is rather than ending the chord, just ending the chord there, instead now I'm going to go right into an arpeggio. Let me zoom out the music so you could see what's happening here. So typically what was happening before before, right? What happened before was I would just play, this, and then the song would end right here on the B flat. But now you see I'm adding in these arpeggios, 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 arpeggios to create an ending for the song. All right, so take a look at what I'm doing here. So normally the song would end right here, right on the B flat. Okay, so it would end there. But instead of ending there, I'm now going to move into these arpeggios. Let me play it for you. Now, isn't that a beautiful sound? It's a nice way of me being able to, rather than just ending a song like that, now I can go. Now I get myself a real nice ending. So again, let me go through this and show you exactly what I'm doing. Let's get rid of that. All right, so we first of all start with the basic ending. So, and then rather than just ending the chord there, I instead go into my 16th notes and my arpeggios. Right, so I'm starting at the B flat there, then I drop down. So I have 1 E and 2 E and notice I crossed under there. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, crossing under. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 4. So yeah, 4, 1, 2, 3, and I end up on that B flat. So it's, and then I go down to my G7 chord right here. And then you could go, sometimes I play this, the F rather than the G. It really doesn't matter which one you play. Oh, and by the way, this is another thing. Notice there I did 4, so I did 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, if you're gonna do that and you're gonna stay in time, it's gonna be a little bit difficult for you to be able to get to the next chord because you're getting this. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 4 E and. Like you're gonna jump within the span of a 16th note to the very next chord. But since this is the ending of the song, you could play it rubato. Let me show you that one too. So here I could do. So here I'm playing the root, and then I play the rest of the, so it's 5-note chord. So this is the pattern. And I just go up an octave, right? So it's the same pattern going up and up and up. Okay? So now this is a way in which you can use these arpeggios to create yourself just a beautiful ending. Now, can you use this for an introduction as well? So let's check it out. Look at what I just went to there. Just went to an F7 chord and with a sharp 5. So I'm going to my 5 chord. So now I'm going into the song. All right. So there I went 2, 5, 1, and then I can go to the 5 chord. This is also another nice chord, just a sus4 chord. My romance. right? So I can use that same concept for an introduction or for an ending, right? What about in between the song? If I get the melody right. All right, but you get the point there. See what I'm doing? So, my romance. I'm just playing my romance, but that's where I would normally just play the chord, right? And I'm going to hang on it for maybe a measure or so. Rather than just hanging on it, fill it in with an arpeggio. There's my C minor 7. Go up those 3 notes. Sometimes I'll do stuff like this as well, right? Now, this is real advanced, I know, but I'm just trying to show you a couple of little cool tricks here. I should put this into a lesson, right? Right, but I want to share it with you guys right now. So here I'm playing a C minor, 3rd, 7th, and 9th. It's 3 notes, right? Now, see that? You get a real cool sound there. So anyway, you can use this technique for an ending, for an introduction, and you can also use these arpeggios in the middle of your song, okay? Now, don't get scared off by these arpeggios. When you first get started, it's probably going to be, you know, like, all right, you might be hitting wrong notes, you might be tense. It takes a while to get this down. This is how you get started, all right? Just start with that first C minor. Go slow, put the metronome on. All right, you can do it in 8th notes. What I'm focusing on right now is just getting the fingering right, getting the notes right, but most importantly, staying relaxed. Now, this is the kind of practice, I want to be careful in what I'm going to say here. This is the kind of practice that you can kind of do passively. So you could be having something on the television, you know, have a book, reading a book and whatnot, and just be like practicing this stuff. You do need to make sure that you check in with yourself now and again and ask yourself a couple of questions. Is my posture good? Do I have a lot of tension going on? How does it sound? Does it sound flowing? Am I really focusing too much on one finger, or am I really getting in that rocking motion? When you feel comfortable, then move on to the F. The B flat. You can do whatever chord you want, any of these chords. So if you're working on different chord voices, let's say you're going to do C minor 7 flat 5, F7 flat 9 to B flat major 7. All right, so B flat major 7 sharp 11, I should say. All right, arpeggiate it. It's a great way of practicing those chords rather than just going go go, you know, like just a real harmonic approach. Bring a melodic approach into your playing as well, and into your practicing. Okay. Now, obviously, once you could do that and you feel comfortable with that, then just try doing just 2 octaves. Don't worry about going all the way up and all the way down. Just go up. If you can, see if you can close your eyes when you do it. Can you close your eyes doing it? Now, if you think you're embarrassed doing this, this is going out live, all right? And it's going to be on YouTube. So people are going to see me with my eyes closed, right? And they're going to be laughing at me with my eyes closed or whatnot, all right? So don't worry about it, right? What we're trying to do is we're trying to learn to be better at our instrument. So anytime you feel self-conscious about that, if you have to, play when no one's around, all right? Or blindfold yourself if it feels weird to close your eyes. Or what I used to do is I used to practice in a completely pitch black room. Even if it's like you get a little bit of light, right, but it's mostly dark, that's fine too. Right? So don't turn the light on at night when you practice. Now, can you look down every now and again, and then figure out where you are? Sure, but try it as best as you can. See if you can do it without looking. All right. So try working, see if your hand can start to know where that octave jump is. All right. Okay, so that is it for today's Hangout. We got a lot of information in here today. I hope it was useful to you, and I hope that you understand also the power in what it is that I just gave you. All right, taking these concepts, we just did it in the key of B flat. Remember, transpose, transpose this stuff to other keys. Don't just stay in the key of B flat. And perhaps maybe the most important thing that I want to make sure that you're left with is apply it to songs. Okay? I gave you a couple of examples here of how you can make an intro and ending out of it. Apply it to the music that you already have. Let's say you're going to do a blues in C, right? All right, so now you're thinking like, oh, how are these arpeggios going to work for that? All right. See, when you do it rubato like that, there's a D minor, and then on the G7, I do that sharp 5. The sharp 5 works great on any of those blues stuff. Are you going to do Georgia? Right, so let's start with a G minor 7 arpeggio, key of F, right? So going to do the 2 chord. And then do my C7. Let me start that again. So here I could play, just playing that sharp, putting that sharp 5 in there. And I go into the song, all right? So try applying these concepts to the songs that you already know, right? If you could do it, if you could apply it to the songs that you already know, now you're not having to worry about trying to learn the song and bring this concept in, okay? It's always best to try and take a concept that you're learning, whatever the concept is, rootless chords, whatever, apply it to something that you already know. Because anytime you're trying to do a bunch of heavy lifting and oh, I'm trying to learn the song while I'm also trying to learn the concept, it's just going to be too much for you. All right, so let's see what questions I might have here. Okay, so, and if you guys have any questions, go ahead and write in. Lloyd had a question. So you end with 2, 5 of 2, something else, then 1. No, I would. So all right. So let's move to the key of C for a second. Okay. So if I'm in the key of C, I would play a 2 chord to a 5 chord to a 1 chord, and then when I go to that 5, 7, or 2, which would be A7 in the key of C. Now where's that A7 going to lead me? It's going to lead me back to my 2 chord, and then when I'm going to end, then I end on that 1 chord. The 5, 7 of 2 chord just takes me back to the 2 chord, not to the 1 chord. If I want to get back to the 1 chord, I need to hit the 5 first and then go to the 1. Now, do I always have to do that? Of course, no. I mean, there's many other variations and stuff. But for ease right now, just think 5 is what always leads me back to 1. So if I want to do 2, 5, 1. When I do the A7, where is that going to lead me? Let me try going back to 1. Now you can hear that it doesn't work, does it? So I go back to 2, then 5, and then end on my 1. All right. Rick said, this looks like a real good exercise for your learning the different keys program that we get once a month. Absolutely. Rick's talking about the Piano Essentials program. This goes out to all members of pianowithwillie.com. Every month they get a new key. In fact, one of the things that you end up working on is this 3-6-2-5-1 progression. 3-5-7-2-2-5-1. I explain, you know, I'm reducing it down for right now for ease of analysis. But yeah, like this works perfectly. In fact, I think I even do it in some of the videos. Like, you can absolutely do those arpeggios there as well. You can arpeggiate the triads. In fact, one of the things that I had to do when I was at Berkeley is you have to go through all 12 major scales. You're going to do 4 octaves, hands together. Okay, you're going to do it in a variety of different tempi, and then also different rhythms, quarter notes, eighth notes, triplets, 16th notes. Okay, and then you also have to do your arpeggios, major, minor, dominant, seventh arpeggios as well. So you have to, like, that's all part of the piano proficiency. So working through any of these chords, dominant seventh chord, major chord, minor chord. You know, you can go through all circle of fifths, around the circle of fourths. You could, you know, sky's the limit, you know, as to what you can do with that. All right. George, do you have any suggestions or method on relaxing your body to stay free from tension as you play? Well, obviously, some of the stuff you could do, and it's, you know, I'm putting it out there for anybody that's interested in this. Okay, so you may or may not be interested in it. You might be like, forget it. Yoga. You know, not a bad idea to do yoga, right? Not a bad idea to stretch as well. Stretching is good. Why is stretching so good? Because stretching brings oxygen into the body. Just even if you do some like, big wide range of motion stretches, you know, the other one where you like stand up and like, you know, kind of your arm is rotating like the pitcher stretch there. That would be good. Exercise is great for relaxing the body because exercise, you work the body, and then the body then starts to naturally relax. You know, all of those endorphins are released after you work out, and then the body goes into a relaxation mode, right? You could also even do like, you know, it's getting a little, you know, out there for some people, but, you know, try meditating, you know, just sitting quietly before you actually start to play a note. Just sit there, you know, put your arms down, close your eyes, and just be cognizant of your body. You know, be thinking about, you know, where are you holding tension? The reason I say all of these things before I even get to anything at the piano is because one of the most powerful computers that you have available to you is your brain. Okay, your brain controls everything. It controls what I'm saying right now, what I'm thinking right now, what I'm doing right now. It controls everything, right? It also controls whether or not I'm tense or not. So your brain can help create tension or release tension. So the more that you start to be actively aware of what your body is doing, and in order to be actively aware, the word active means engaging the brain. So if you're going to be active, you are engaging your brain, right? When you engage your brain like that, now you're going to start to be aware of what's going on. Most of the time, people aren't even aware of what it is that they do, okay? Because they're kind of like zoned out, and they're passively going through their practice routine. So you want to stay active in your practice routine. You want to ask yourself questions. Another thing you can do is videotape yourself, you know, not to share with anybody, but just for your own, you know, your own use. And then you take a look, videotape yourself from different angles. And then, like, you know, are you holding tension anywhere? Are you, you know, is your back up? You know, like what's going on? Does it look like you're really tense? And then, of course, breathing. Okay, so what you could do is, so here, what I'm doing is I'm actively breathing. I know it sounds kind of silly, but I'm saying, okay, let me start my breath at the beginning of the arpeggio. Exhale, and then do the next breath. Now, of course, you're gonna time it, you know, so you don't pass out. So you might say, I'm gonna inhale, and then exhale on the next one, and then inhale on the next one, exhale on the next one. Right? Why is that important? Controlling the breath, right? You want to learn how to control your breath because, again, this is how you're able to relax yourself, right? Relaxing isn't like, oh, well, if you just hold your hand like this and you do this 10,000 times, you know, that 10,000, you got to do something 10,000 times in order to master it. No. Guess what? You could do something 10,000 times and you could be even worse than you are now. Because one of the things that they forget to mention in that 10,000 times thing is if your brain is checked out and you're doing it all wrong, what does it matter? You know, if I'm like learning a golf swing like this, you know, and I do that 10,000 times, I'm not going to have a good golf swing, right? I got to learn how to do it properly. And how you learn that is being active in your practice routine. I've said this many times before, you will be the most important teacher you will ever have. Why? Because even if you were sitting right here in the room with me and I'm watching you play, I don't know what you're feeling inside of your body. I can kind of see if you're tense and kind of gauge if you're tense, but only you really know those things, okay? So if you start to engage your brain, you're going to be amazed at how it's going to change your playing and change your practice routine. All right, so Yinyi has a question. Somebody would say the dominant chord that you played as sharp 9, sharp 5, but you stayed at sharp 9, flat 13. Of course, they are physically the same, but is it a different meaning if we write it differently? The reason I say this one. Actually, which one did I'm trying to think where I said call it the sharp 9, flat 13. But anyway, let's do this. Okay, so here's C7. Here's C7, sharp 9, flat 13. So why would I not call this a C7, sharp 9, sharp 5? The reason is that a lot of times when I have the 9th and 13th in there, the 9 and 13 are linked. Okay, so a lot of times if you're doing something with the 9th, it might change what you're doing with the 13th. Like a lot of times you wouldn't have like a natural 13 with a sharp 9, you know, but a natural 13 with a flat 9 sounds good. Flat 13 and flat 9 sounds good. So anytime I have that 9 variant in there and the 13th, I would then usually call it the 13th. Would I be completely off base if I called this C plus 7 sharp 9, which would be C augmented 7th sharp 9, or C7 sharp 5 sharp 9? No, of course not. That would be fine as well. It gets the point across. The reason I say 13 is because it's just a little bit more theory right, okay? The way that I'm thinking about the chord. But either way, it would be absolutely fine. It gets the job done. Last question. Well, Renee was asking a question about the last lesson, and I'd like to repeat it. Is it possible to get it back? I do have, there are a couple of ways of hearing all of these Hangouts again. One, you can go to our YouTube channel. Just do a search for Jazz Edge, okay? Actually, I think if you do a search for Hang with Willie, it should probably come up now as well. And then we have a playlist, all right? So you can view them all in that playlist. Make sure you go to hangwithwillie.com as well. And you want to fill out, if you haven't done it already, okay, you want to fill out this this right here, this register now button. You want to click that, and then you're going to get like a pop-up, all right? And then in that pop-up, just put in your first name and your email address. And again, that is at hangwithwillie.com, all right? So it's right there, hangwithwillie.com, all right? So go to hangwithwillie.com, and then you will see that pop-up, okay? So that will get you access to all of the Hangouts. So that means that all of the future ones you will get access to as well. You don't have to register for future Hangouts at all, okay? And then you'll get an email before the Hangout starts. You'll get an email once it's going on, and you'll get an email a couple hours later with a link to the replay as well. Now, depending on how fast you go to that link, it will still be there. It does expire after a while, so if it expires, then you can always go to our YouTube channel and you can see them there. If you are a member of the site, what you want to do is you want to go to the courses page, all right, and then you can see all of the Hang with Willie lessons right in that courses page and grab all the sheet music. Carrie is out today, but I will make sure that the sheet music and everything gets up there at some point today, okay? All right, so that is it for today's Hangout. Thank you all very much for joining me. I will see you next Thursday at 11 a.m. And like I said, check your email for this new homeschool piano Hangout as well. I'm not sure exactly when in the week I'm going to be doing that, but I am going to be opening, excuse me, going to be opening that up as well. And that will be specifically for beginners to the piano, okay? So, all right, that's it for me. I'll see you guys next week.